Hi everyone, welcome to KLE Society's College of Education, Ankola. I am Gurukirthi Naik, B.Ed first year student teacher. Today we learn about the 9th standard English prose Mauritius. It is a travelogue written by R.K. Lakshman. Let us see the lesson. The world atlas I have with me has many little dots and specks which have really nothing to do with the world or geography. It is an old one, and time, the weather, and generations of cockroaches have put them there. So it was with some difficulty that I was able to locate Mauritius in the vastness of the Indian Ocean. It is a tiny speck of an island situated below the equator on the 20th parallel, some 4,500 kilometers southwest of Bombay. Our aircraft is bearing us towards it. Through the occasional glows in the clouds, I glimpse the ocean spreads like a bluish-grey steel sheet. There are acres and acres of cloud below me, having all sorts of funny shapes in an odd abstract way. Curiously, they resemble figures in the ancient legends of China, Rome, Greece, India, and what have you. I cannot help drawing a comparison, albeit ridiculous and rather far-fetched, between my vague observations at 10,000 meters, watching the clouds and what I learn of Mauritius later. This tiny island has an astonishingly similar variety, strange juxtapositions, incongruities, odd mixtures of race and language. Here, Africans and Chinese, Biharis and Dutch, Persians and Tamils, Arabs, French, and English all rub shoulders merrily with one another and emerge with a peculiar sense of oneness. A Tamil, for instance, bears a deceptively South Indian face, and a name to go with it to boot, Radhakrishna Govindan, is indeed from Madras. I speak to him in a Tamil. He surprises me by responding in a frightfully mangled English with a heavy French accent. Mr. Govindan has no knowledge of Tamil, and his tongue has ceased curling to produce Tamil sounds centuries ago. Like others of his fellow men, his ancestors were brought to the islands as slaves or later as indentured laborers to work in sugarcane fields and factories or to cut timber in the jungle and haul it to the boats. Their roots in their original homeland withered and disappeared with the passage of time. All of them together happily came to share in the triumphs and defeats of whoever happened to be their masters among the buccaneering trinity of those days, the Dutch, the French, and the English, who constantly waged the battle for the possession of the island for its spices and sugar, or just for the strategic position on the maritime route to the east, conveniently placed as it was for piratical purpose. However, the Battle of 1810 ended all that in favor of the English. The French surrendered and handed over the island after extracting a favor from the conquerors that the French influence on the island be left intact. The English kept their word to the last day of their rule, which ended in 1968. And so, we still have very musical but unpronounceable names like Trogs Beaches, Bayou Basins, Quarterbones, Curry Pipe, Rose Belly, and so on. The people are extremely relaxed and warm towards strangers. In the streets, in the bazaar, in restaurants, it is common to be greeted and smiled at as if you were long lost friend. Coming from Bombay, with my precast grim expression of a city dweller, I react awkwardly at first to such spontaneity and feel ashamed that I am not even able to produce a matching smile. The same atmosphere of friendliness prevails even in Port Louis, the seat of government. The cabinet ministers and others in high positions do not act as if they were born to the grace. They are just like ordinary people one bumps into an airport lounge or in a hotel lobby. They are unassuming, accessible, communicative, and above all, go about without a protective shield of hangers on and security men to repel casual approaches. I am shown a modest looking flat in a busy street lined with a shop and crawling traffic. It is the residence of Prime Minister of Mauritius. Port Louis brings to my mind Joseph Conrad and Maugham. This little port town seems as if it were built at the suggestion of these writers to suit their novels and short stories. Merchant ships, travelers, dinghies stand anchored in the harbor with the cobwebs of ropes and festoons of flags hanging from their masts. Grimy sailors and dockhands in seamen's caps long on oil drums and packing cases or lean against bleak warehouse walls. Smoking pipes, sugarcane fields like a carpet of green cover the island on all sides as far as the eye can see up to the foot of the distant blue mountains that ring the island. A volcanic happening of geological ages, these mountains do not have the traditional monotonous pyramidal shapes. Their outlines are freakish and whimsical with unexpected sweeps and perpendicular drops and pinpointed peaks, precariously doing a balancing act with boulders as big as a skyscraper. There is no railway in Mauritius. Well maintained trunk and arterial roads connect various villages and towns, cutting through the ubiquitous sugarcane fields. Although the whole country is only 64 kilometers by 50 kilometers in size, driving round the island for a sightseeing makes me feel curiously that I am in a place as sprawling as India. But the excellent weather and breathtaking landscapes all round make up for many hours spent just sitting inside a car. It is very common for people to drive up and down an average 70 kilometers to a cocktail party or a dinner with friends. I note the trees here are so unlike the gigantic specimens I have seen in Andaman Island. Disappointingly enough, they are short and narrowed even in the interior of jungles. Looking just like abnormally overgrown bonsai, these jungles have no tigers or lions or elephants or any kind of wildlife. There are not even poisonous snakes or insects. The bat was the only mammal before man arrived on the island with the monkey and the deer centuries ago. Unfortunately, the birds are dwindling in number and variety. The dodo, a bird which could not fly and which certainly had no claims to beauty and elegance, was a native of this island and mercifully is extinct now. And so are the giant tortoises of the Aldabra variety, of which a few specimens have been brought and kept in an enclosure in the botanical gardens at Pamplemousse. The people of Mauritius shudder to think of the night the King cyclone struck them on February 6, 1975. A 320-kilometer broad howling wind moved in at some 255 kilometers per hour. The eye of the cyclone alone, I am told, was 48 kilometers wide and it churned the country for 2 days, relentlessly flattening everything that stood, smashing windows and doors, tearing up rooftops, uprooting trees, and bringing them down on buildings. Now, of course, the island has recovered from the devastation, but the valley of the dead trees gives me a fair idea of the enormous violence with which the cyclone had struck these people who are actually quite used to facing these storms as they are an annual event in Mauritius. But the big ones come only once in a 15 years. The sad part of it is, by the time of the next one is due, the memory of the previous disaster fades or nearly comes to be believed as a myth. So again, trees are planted in a congested areas, tall buildings comes up, plate glass pictures, windows are fixed and rooftops are put up with an eye on elegance. But sure enough, at the end of the 15-year period, the king cyclone appears promptly on the horizon to surprise the people of Mauritius. A coral reef runs all round the island parallel to the shoreline, keeping the historical waves away at a safe distance from the beaches. The calm turquoise blue lagoons of Mauritius thus have become world famous. They are still and calm like lotus ponds and are delight to those who like water sports such as scuba diving, swimming, surf riding, speedboat and hiking. In some places the sea is so shallow there is even horse riding. My wife and I, not being aquatic, we watched with amusement the avidity of the tourists from all parts of the world, extracting every bit of fun that the magnificent beach could yield. We step into a glass bottomed boat carefully without getting our feet wet and go on a cruise to observe submerged coral reefs and marine life. I see seashells on yellow sands to start with little undefinable creatures, stray birds of seaweed float by, alarmed crabs scurry for shelter. Then comes the skeleton like formation of coral. The sea deepens, pale green bushes, slimy white blobs, big as pumpkins, lobsters, slithering snaky forms. As the boat moves further into the sea, the scene below turns eerie. Among the jagged rocks, the coral jungle becomes dense and huge and is draped with a brownish moss. I see shapeless, ugly creatures crawling in the dark depths of the sea covers. I feel unblinking eyes are watching us from below the giant mushroom like growth all over. Headless animals pretending to be plants stuck in one place sway from side to side in a ghostly manner. A cold shiver runs down my spine. All of a sudden, standing out against the darkness, a school of fish colored bright lemon yellow with black bears along their sides pass majestically by, cheering up the whole world of a overwhelming gloom. Further on I see the coral branches tipped with a peculiar blue light like hundreds of candles dying out. Plenty of colors coming now. Violet, yellow, pink, green, postbox red, fishes with hideous spikes all over their body, fishes with long tails, fishes with battered faces, all of them with the damned look of condemned souls. Crisscross our path in a wet twilight against a nightmarish landscape. Fastening my seatbelt, preparing for my return flight, I vaguely think of the future of Mauritius. Will it be able to preserve its pristine charm? It has no population problem now, with its 8,50,000 people evenly spread over. There is hardly any unemployment questions yet. People seem to live fairly well at all levels. The government is aware of all these advantages but seems to feel a certain nervousness about an economy so dependent basically on a single commodity, sugar. So it is eager to have foreign entrepreneurs start their industries here. With industrial growth, the living space will shrink, cars and trucks will increase, their roads will have to be widened to take the load. The price of a land will go up and flats will appear. Cost of living, pollution, unemployment, slums, taxation, controls. Oh, all these thoughts come to me from force of habit. An enlightened people can, of course, guide themselves away from all such evils and still preserve this paradise on the earth. I turn hopefully to the window for clouds to entertain me, but the sun has set. It is dark outside and I shall be in India in a few hours. Thank you.